Vampires, the Fae, and Dungeon Crawler Carl. That is what we're talking about today. First up, I finished the book The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. That is a vampire book. Recently, I've been kind of on a vampire kick looking for more vampire books to read. This one was recommended to me. I haven't read Holly Black before, and this is my first experience of reading them. So, Coldest Girl in Cold Town. Not my favorite title, but I loved this. It follows this girl, Tana. She wakes up in a bathtub after this like party at this farmhouse with a bunch of people that she went to high school with. It is a known thing that vampires exist. They have spread across the world, and in the States, there are these towns that are like quarantined, and there's big walls around them, and they're called cold towns. And this is where vampires live, and there's also humans that live there, and a lot of the humans go there because they want to become vampires, and so there's this whole like weird society, and they stream a lot of like what's going on in cold towns, so you get like only like maybe the best parts and what seems like is glamorous and whatnot from that. So, you know, you get a lot of like teenagers and people that want to go and be turned into vampires and be part of this and whatnot. But anyways, Tana wakes up and she got really drunk and she had passed out in the bathtub. So she gets up and then she goes and then she finds just the living room is chaos and carnage and everybody is dead. And she's like, what in the F? And it was a vampire attack. And somehow she lucked out because she passed out in the bathroom and no one found her. So she's like, gonna get out of there. And she needs to go get her coat from the room where she had thrown it. And when she goes in there, she finds her ex-boyfriend who's still alive and he's like tied up. And then there's this other kid or this other guy. He's not a kid. He's a teenager too or whatever. He's chained up as well. And he is a vampire. And she ends up saving them both, and then they get the F out of Dodge, and her ex is infected. And then the other guy is a vampire, but he doesn't seem like he wants to hurt her at this point in time, and she saved him, and so she doesn't really know what to do. And so they end up deciding that they're going to go to Cold Town. And then she's not sure if she's infected either because when they were trying to leave, so there was still a ton of vampires there. They were just in the basement and it was daylight, so they were, you know, they couldn't come upstairs. But as it is starting to get darker, gets out the window and then the teeth of one of the vampires scraped her leg. So she's not sure if she's infected either. They work out this plan where they're going to go and the vampire that she saved, she's going to like turn him in. And he brought it up for her to do that. If you turn them in, you can either get a cash reward or you can get a marker. And the marker is that if there's a human there that wants to leave, then you can give that to them, or she could keep it for herself to be able to leave Cold Town. So she's not sure 100% if she's infected or not. So what they do is they turn him in for the marker. And Gabriel is the name of the guy who went along with this plan and whatnot. And so she's going to try to see if she can help her ex or whatever. And he's a terrible ex. Yeah, he's very selfish and arrogant, and he probably wants to be a vampire anyways, even though she wants to try to save him, because you can apparently sweat out the infection, but it takes like 88 days or something crazy, so they're gonna go into Cold Town, and you know, and they meet some other people on the way, and stuff happens that's not so great, and then there's this other head vampire guy, Lucian, that's like in charge of a lot of stuff, and he has these big parties and all the humans go there because they want to be turned into vampires and whatnot, and most of them don't get turned into vampires, and it's this weird crazy economy of that. It's this whole, okay, so is Tana infected? Will she be able to save her ex? Is she going to get stuck in Cold Town? What's going on with this Gabriel guy that he actually wanted them to turn him in there? And then eventually he's like, yeah, I have a friend here who I plan to kill. She's like, but what? And it's like this crazy, like twisty story of who Gabriel actually is and was. And they find out this whole crazy history about like that he was this thing called the Thorn of Istra, which was this vampire that went and hunted down other vampires who were basically like spreading vampirism, because the old vampires don't want that. They didn't want like all of this spreading out, you know, they wanted to control over everything and whatnot. And then he was locked up for apparently like years and years, and that maybe they're still after him, and there's this whole rivalry thing going on. And yeah, I would highly recommend this. This is absolutely awesome. I loved it. If you like vampires and you ever read this one, do it. Okay, so next up, currently I'm in the middle of this short little novella, and it's called The River Has Roots by Amal El Motar. This is about, well, it's very poetically written and visual, and it's about this family that lives very close to the edge of Arcadia, or Fairy. and they live in a town that's called like Thistlethorn, and it's by this river where there's these willow trees, and this family, the Hawthorns, they have always been in charge of singing to the willows, and then they sell the products from the willows at the market, and they make their living that way. And there's these two daughters, Esther and Isabel, and they together have like absolutely beautiful voices and this, that, and the other. And, they're coming into the age of where one would typically like marry off the daughters. And apparently this family, they always seem to go away to find, their people that they marry. And I don't really know what that means. There's apparently this neighbor guy, like Mr. Pollard, who's super into Esther, and she is not interested whatsoever at all. And she's kind of like into this, I don't even know if they're a person. They're more of a fae type creature. And their name is Rin. And I'm pretty sure these two are in love. But I don't know what's going to happen because stuff in Arcadia or in Fairy is strange. So, like I said, it's very beautifully written. It's poetic. We're going to see what happens because I don't know yet. Brief synopsis. So, in the small town of Thistleford, on the edge... Oh, Thistleford, not Thistlethorn. I think I said Thistlethorn. On the edge of Fairy, the mysterious Hawthorn family tends the willow trees there, and for as long as anyone can remember, the Hawthorns have paid tribute to the willow trees, honoring an ancient compact to sing to them in thanks for their magic. None, though, have taken up this calling more devotedly than the family's latest daughters, Esther and Isabel, who cherish each other as much as they cherish the trees. But when Esther rejects a forceful suitor in favor of a lover from the land of Fairy, not only the sisters' bond, but also their lives will be at risk. And so far, pretty good. Okay, so now let me tell you what I'm gonna get into. As I said, I'm on a vampire kick. The other day, Patty, who watches the channel, gave me a list of like a ton of vampire books that were coming out. And so I wrote them all down, and I got one off the list so far because I can't get all of them. There was like 5 or 6. I don't know. There's a lot. But I did get Tillinghast, which I think is supposed to be a slow burn. I don't really know. I wanted to check it out. So let's tell you what it's about. And this also says that it's inspired by the real events of the New England Vampire Panic, a dark and utterly original literary horror novel following a priest whose bloodthirsty life is upended when a stranger comes to town. I mean, isn't that how it always goes? And then, bad things commence. All right, so Stutley Tillinghast lives a solitary life, ostensibly as the minister of a remote rural parish in Rhode Island. For many decades now, what little human contact he's allowed himself has been brief, frenzied, and bloody. And it has always ended in a shallow grave in his cellar. There's a name for what he is, but he prefers not to use it. He simply has his needs, and when they become unbearable, he fulfills them. In his long and lonely life, he has met only one other like him, the woman he still yearns for, the one who made him what he is. Then a girl arrives, searching for him. She has his last name and bears an uncanny resemblance to that woman, awakening memories Tillinghast has long suppressed. The connection he feels for her is immediate and overwhelming. She's also sick, very sick, with symptoms Tillinghast recognizes all too well, and only he knows how to cure her. We'll see how this one goes. It definitely sounds interesting, and I like vampires. Okay, and now we return to another Chonk McChonkster, which is This Inevitable Rune by Matt Dinneman. This is book 7 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And after this one, I think I only have one more of what's currently out. Everyone, they just stay large now. I am very excited for this one. I have been loving this series so much. If you are into video games or D&D or RPGs, this is what these books read like, and it's fun. It's all action all the time. It's emotional. It is political. It is so many things, and it's really freaking good. So let me tell you what this one is about. The 9th floor, faction wars. 9 armies enter, led by the rich and powerful from across the galaxies. The winning team must capture and hold the castle at the very center of the battlefield. Strategy, alliances, pitched battles, betrayal. It all makes for great fun and even greater television. But thanks to Carl, Donut, and Katia, this season is different. For the first time ever, the crawlers have their own army. The NPCs, who are normally used as nothing but cannon fodder, have become self-aware, and they have their own team too. And it's not just the crawlers who are at risk for the faction wars. Any combatant who dies on the battleground stays in the ground. This didn't used to be the case, but it is this time around. For Donut and Katia, the stakes are even higher, and no matter who wins the war, only one of them will be allowed to leave this level. If they all want to survive, they're going to need a little help from a veteran or two. This is it. This is what they've been fighting towards, and this is war. I feel like it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. And there will definitely be a standalone for this because I've been doing reviews for each one of these and I'm compiling them into playlists. And I will link the playlist down below. If you've been reading this series and you have any interest in checking that out, that'll be down in the description of the video. Okay, so what am I most excited about? Obviously, it's going to be Dungeon Crawler Carl. If you've been around the channel, you might know that I love this series so much, and I don't remember the last time I've read through a series this fast. I started it in January of this year, and for me, being on book 7, especially when they're like, the last 3 have been at least 800 pages, I don't know, they've been really big. Like, I don't always like to read really giant books because being a booktuber, it sets you back. Maybe you have a content schedule you're trying to keep to, and when you read a book that big, it really throws it off. What have you been getting into recently? Have you read the Dungeon Crawler Carl series? Let me know. Also, if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.